everybody, and welcome to Mind-Blowing Energy and You, bringing the woo-woo to everyday living. I'm Lynn Profit with Living Currents Energy and Life Coaching, and I am your host. And today is going to be so cool. We have an amazing guest, and it's Kirstey Jane. She is a professional fashion and corporate photographer, and she has a background in training and development. And this will all make sense later while I'm explaining this all to you. But if anybody that knows Kirstey knows that she has a warm but no BS approach to helping her clients to take the next step in whatever direction they want to go. And I met Kirstey, I guess a few months ago, actually, when she was taking pictures at the speakers retreat in Phoenix, and I was automatically drawn to her. I have to say that out of 200 people, I actually went and spent time just sitting watching her doing her photography, just because it was such good energy to sit in. So Kirstey, thank you for being here, and I'm so glad to actually be able to chat with you again.
I'm just going to correct you there. I think it's because you were trying to get away from all the people, and so it was like hiding in the corner going, I'm just going to be over here and be quiet. Do you mind if I'm quiet? No, it's really cool actually, because now it makes it look like I'm with someone and I don't have to do any more work right now.
Well, that's true. Yeah, there was a whole lot of energy flying around that entire weekend. So yeah, I believe you are right. I was trying to find just a nice peaceful little spot, and it just so happened to be right by you. So apparently you bring peace with you.
Oh, no, it was awesome. It was great.
So, okay, Kirstey, you're a photographer and an amazing one at that. And you have a background in training and development, which is really cool. But then actually you've been telling me more about how all these other energy things are tying in. But so can you just kind of give us a bit of background on, I guess actually right now it's where you're at and the things that you're doing?
I'm trying to put this in a nutshell for you. I guess the bottom line is I've never had fixed ideas about what I'm going to do, or, even as a kid, I knew I was just very, very creative, very artistic. And I had this energy where I wanted to do things. And if I wasn't in an environment where I could express myself fully, I did not thrive. So my thing all through life has always been about go where I'm happy, go where I thrive, do what I enjoy, and work with strengths. That's always just been my biggest thing. And I think because of that, that's kind of what has led me to have such a really varied background. I have done so many different things, which is why I hate the question of, what do you do and what's your background? Because I'm like, oh God, I just look like, I look like I don't stick at anything. I look at it's like, well, what don't you do? It's like, I don't know, I've done everything. And I mean, I really have, I think I started out, I left home at 16 and put myself through school. So, I mean, I was working as a waitress. So that kind of got me into the restaurant hospitality industry. So I ended up, after I left school, actually going into that because not that I enjoyed doing it by any means, but the part that really attracted me was the people element. I used to work for TGI Fridays, the American cheesy thing.
Yeah, huh? Well, okay.
Well, when I was 18, that first came to England, and it was the coolest thing that anybody had ever seen or experienced, because anything American was cool, right?
Oh, okay.
A dad who drove a Corvette and collected American cars, and everyone, it was, oh wow, it's so cool, it was this cool American stuff. And then we started having American restaurants come over, and so what you probably remember, as being really cheesy stuff, we thought was cool. And so for me to work at Fridays was just huge. And everything was really rah-rah and hyper. And I just fitted in quite well at that time. But people fascinated me. We had, it was in London, so most of the employees were all out of work, singers, actors, dancers, that kind of thing, models, and they were very transient. They wanted part-time jobs. So that was the environment I was in, and it was perfect for me because I was a photographer. That's something I've done since I was 16. So
oh, okay, yeah.
A lot of years. It's done 28 years or something like that. So all the time I was doing that, I just had perfect fodder to take people's pictures because they all needed portfolios and things like that. So I was always doing my photography. I worked with model agencies in London. I was doing all their test shots and things like that. And
Oh, wow.
so it was just fun times. But I still needed to make a living because I left home so young. And I had I had an apartment and I had a car, and I was having to, survival came first.
Right.
But it was the point of how do I make this fun? So I knew I could make a lot of money in that industry because it was based on tips and I got on really well with people and, that kind of stuff. But it's being a waitress, right? So how do I make this bigger? How do I make it more reliable? So I ended up getting into training. I became an in-store trainer, and Fridays used to take that very seriously. It was kind of like the military almost, their training. So
really?
Very early on, I got this like really rigorous training. It was quite psychological and how people learn and how people, how you teach people to train, how they retain information and so on. And I just got really into that. So I used to do all the recruitment days. I used to hold auditions for people. And that was just absolutely hilarious. Just bringing people in and making them do stupid shit just to like figure out if they fit in or not. But we were just cackling in the background. So I made some of my best friends doing that. Those crazy people became my friends. And so as time progressed, I did all that. So I got involved in the recruitment. We used to have new store opening days, and so there was lots of training in that. And then long story short, I'd have clients that would come in, or customers, and they knew who I was and what I did, and they asked me if I wanted to come and work for them and help start things up in their business, and so I did. And then I'd get headhunted to somewhere else, and so I ended up working for some really good brands and chains in England. So there was Paramount, there was like big restaurant groups, all this kind of stuff. So it just became my career. I sort of fell into it. But I think it was because I was attracting these kinds of people. I mean, I was just upbeat, I was fun, I had energy, it was creative. And even though I was doing a job that was really boring to me, my constant thing was, how can I make this more interesting? Why does training have to be corporate? People need to learn skills. Like, you can't go on a course and learn customer service. Like, basics like please, thank you, and yes ma'am, no ma'am. I mean, it's the basic stuff. But ultimately, if I'm miserable and I'm an introvert or had a bad day, how do I make someone else's day? And that's got nothing to do with customer service. That's about your state of mind and being and what's going on and how to manage that. So I got very into all that stuff. I also went and did my NLP practitioner course, which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
But, yeah. So I did all of that training as well, and hypnosis and stuff. And it's just, I'm just driven by human behavior, what makes us do what we do. And I think because I had a really screwed up childhood myself, I was constantly trying to figure myself out. And I was constantly trying to figure out why people do what they do. Things don't make sense. And it was just this drive of, I just want to be where I can be a better person and help other people. And I just felt like I needed, I don't know, it's just like a feeling, I can always pick up and sense when something's not right with someone. And so it's just instantly, I want to get in there and not necessarily hear all their stories and gossip, but I just know something's not right. And I guess the theme in all of this, because I'm rambling a lot right now, is that all along while I was doing this career and survival and all that kind of stuff, I was always a photographer. That was always a core part of my work. And so whichever part of work I was in, my clients would come from those things because they would draw in. They're like, I didn't know you did photography. I would love to spend some time with you. I would love this to happen, because there was this thing where they just felt comfortable with me. It was people have said to me, you make me feel like I've been seen. You make me, you see what I know about myself inside, but I don't show to anyone else. And somehow you manage to pick up on that and pull that out of me. And then I see it in a photo and I'm like, oh my God, like that is who I am. And yet nobody else sees that. So I don't know what you call that. And I'm sure it'd be very woo-woo. I'm so blunt and down to earth. Like, I'm a complete realist. Utterly. You have to put something in front of me and, for me to really, really believe it. So I don't believe in things easily. But I have come to realize over these years now that there is something surrounding me that, or something that I channel or whatever it is, that I just sense, I just feel. So and somehow photography has been my vehicle in helping other people see themselves. So it's not just me going in and helping others through my work. It's like noticing what's going on with them. And we don't talk about any of it. They just see it, and then they like have verbal diarrhea and then they feel comfortable, and then it's just like, oh, and then that's kind of how my work evolved, really. But my passion is just, creativity. That's why I
Yeah.
love the whole fashion side of things. The corporate photography is, I live in Calgary, so, it's not fashion central or media central or anything.
Not really.
No, I mean, the bread and butter is oil and gas. So how do I translate that into, something that is a sustainable career, and something I have managed to do, which is great.
Yeah.
Bring the creativity and help people with their marketing and connect with their audiences. And it has become about connection. So that's where that gels. And then, other stuff kind of tapers off of that, which is more fashion and creative stuff and PR campaigns and things like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know what your question was anymore. I just talked.
Yeah, that's actually, you know what? It's perfect timing because it kind of leads me to my next question.
Okay.
We were talking about, how you have that connection with people and, almost to where it's led you now, like all those little things like that you talked about throughout your life that have brought you to this point. A little bit of a conversation we had earlier, just about the energy and how that fits into what you're doing and what, not just your photography, but kind of on a more, I guess, personal level of what you're doing. Just tell us a little bit more about that, because that is so interesting that you've come, through all these other steps to bring you to here.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know. All I know is that when I was probably in my mid-20s, I would say, I made the decision that, and a lot of it had to do with the crap from my childhood and trying to deal with it. I'd been carrying that around for a really long time, and it was stopping me from being happy. It was stopping me from doing things. And I just came to the conclusion that it was a really massive fear I had. And I just thought, you know what? And when did that come about? I think it was around the time I got married. I got married when I was 29. And I think at that point, what that represented to me was I finally got everything I wanted. Like, I found the person I wanted. I'm going to about to start the perfect life. I'm going to, and we decided on our honeymoon that we were going to emigrate to Canada because my dad had emigrated here before. So we'd been on holiday, and I was like, thought this was a phenomenal place to be, to raise a family. I wasn't in the place then. I was like, kids, single, whatever. And I was like, but one day, if I ever have kids and I ever find the right person, I will move there and raise a family. So this happened. And so from that point, I just left the UK, and I was like, from this point onwards, no one is going to stop me from doing anything. I will do what I choose. I will do everything to make me happy. And if it doesn't work, I'm not doing it. And so since that point, I guess everything's just evolved. I've never had I was always a goal setter. I was always someone that followed things through. I know when I came to Calgary, I decided I would never wear a watch anymore. Because I'd been so time conscious in London. Everything's so busy all the time and so stressful. And I came here and was like, screw it. I don't have to work at this point. So the watch comes off, whatever will be, will be. And really since then, it sounds really directionless, but I've just gone with what makes me happy. And I think when I'm genuinely happy, stuff just happens around me because I'm exuding me. It's who I am. It's my truth. It's my passion. It's just coming out, and things just evolve. And I know that every time I switch back to that place of fear, or where I get stuck or I get paralyzed, which comes from overwhelm, that's when things start falling apart. And I become very aware that I have to just let it go and just jump anyway, even if I don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah. And the minute I do that, people just come out of nowhere, things come out of nowhere, events come out of nowhere. And perfect example is when we met, because, I was in a place where I was feeling very, head down. I wasn't being very sociable. I was just being quiet. I just couldn't face going out into the world very much. I was doing my work, but it was sucking the life out of me because I was having to be someone who's all, bubbling, who I'm being right now. But then, I'd need days of sleep afterwards because I was a little bit depressed, I think. I was having a hard time. Mm-hmm. So the idea of going to a conference with 200 people was absolutely horrifying for me. And I was asked to do it, to go and be the photographer. So it was a good gig for me, but it was like, oh God, I don't know if I could do this. I'm going to need like a month to recover, from all these people. And I really, really didn't want to go. But I knew I should. And I knew that this was an amazing opportunity and I really just should go. So I did. And then since we went, which was in, I think it was October, wasn't it?
November?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. My life just turned upside down again because I exposed I didn't expose myself.
I don't know. That could have happened.
What I meant was I was exposed to all these people. I don't know, I might be more successful. I have no idea. But having the exposure of all these people, from different places, it's like it just woke me up. I mean, I was exhausted, hence why we were trying to find a quiet place to get away from everyone, because that's a lot of energy. Having 200 people around you that are all nervous, freaking out about doing videos and things like that. But, when I came back, suddenly I had 200 friends on Facebook because everybody had reached out and connected. And I think the real advantage that I got, which I really just underestimated, didn't think about, was that, for every single person in that room, they're on a conference for 3 days, right? They've paid money, they've gone, and they don't know anyone. Like, unless someone went with a friend, they don't know anyone there. So you're in a big room of 200 people. There's a stage that you have to get up and speak on. People are all being thrown out of their comfort zones. They're having their ideas ripped apart. They're writing out business plans and being told, that's crap, that won't work. You've got to do this. So it's like, and because that was you, right?
I was just thinking that. It's like, yeah.
It's like, so there's all these, and this is what I wasn't thinking, but since I come back, this is what I realized, is that there's all these people, and it's like there's a whole room of lost souls, right? Looking for guidance, kind of thing, all freaking out, all have their business on the line, they've got families at home or not, and, all this stuff's going on. So they're in a place of complete, like, confusion and fear. And there's me, who's just, like, having complete, like, anxiety attack about even being there, because I was like, oh, what about my cats? What about my kids? Like, what's going on? I was just so out of my comfort zone. But what I just really didn't think about was because I got to meet every single person there for 5 minutes, because they were all coming to get their pictures. For them, they were leaving this room and this energy of all these people and coming out to me and going, oh, thank God for that. Like, okay, what do you want me to do? And it was just like they were just letting themselves out. And the other thing is they're horrified because they don't want their picture taken, because it's like going having teeth pulled. And I'm like, I get it. So get it. I don't like this either. But we had such a laugh, and I got to laugh with every single person for at least 5 minutes. And I just didn't think about it. And so suddenly when you get these 200 people all now wanting to connect with you on Facebook when you get back, I was like, oh my God, I've got 200 friends. They want to talk to me, and they like what I did. And then when I give them their pictures, and they're all putting them up as profile pictures, and then everyone's talking about, where'd you get this done? And all this work came flying in. I was like, holy crap. Like, I just took it, I didn't want to go, but I just thought I'll go anyway. And then there you go. And all this stuff happens. And then from that, a whole bunch of work stemmed, and then, doing interviews, people get to know you, and it just ties in with all the things I want to do, because it just confirmed for me, a bit of a message that every single person said the same thing. Like, you made me feel so comfortable. Saw the real me that I know exists, but nobody else can see. And I feel when when someone else takes my picture, I feel like they don't quite capture me, and it's kind of cheesy and stuff. And it's like, you saw me, and now I feel acknowledged that I got seen, and I feel good about myself. And I'm like, well, I wasn't trying to do that, but that's apparently what happens. That's
good.
So that's kind of where I'm at, but it did come around. And what you asked me was, what are my realizations now? And I think having 200 people confirm something that's been niggling at you your whole life, doing something more here, that's why you're in this industry, and that's why you moved over here, and that's why you met this person, and so on and so on. Now it's all like, I think there's something to this. Like, I'm really hard to convince about anything. I do need big things to happen to smack me in the face and make me realize. But now in hindsight, when I look back on all of that, oh my God, there've been messages over and over, and I'm so stubborn, I haven't listened to any of them. So now I'm in a place where I'm kind of writing all this down. I feel like I'm going to write, and I'm going to speak about this, and I'm going to incorporate it into my work. And I realize that all the things that I've ever done have actually been the vehicle to bringing this message to me. And now I feel like a freaking woo-woo guru thing, speaking of things, which is weird because I don't relate to that at all. But yes, weird stuff's happening. And you asked me in this interview and talk about energy, and I'm like, this is exactly what's going on with me right now. How weird is this? So yeah.
Well, you know what? Actually, Kirstey, what's so interesting is, just to go back a little bit, where you were talking about when you decided you weren't going to do things unless they made you happy.
Yes.
And that was when things started changing. I had that exact same experience.
Really?
Yes, except for I actually had to make an effort to find something that made me happy.
Right.
I was at the point where, well, I had probably seriously been drunk for about 30 years. So
Yeah.
I really lost touch with honestly what made me happy.
Right.
And I know several people have heard the stories, but I had to actually go back to watching YouTube videos
Right.
of whether it was puppies or kittens,
Yeah. Yeah.
just to actually re-recognize that feeling of happiness inside of me. But when I started there and I started watching more of it, I could start recognizing the feeling in other places.
Hmm.
And then I started wanting to bring more of it in. So I started looking for it in other parts of my life and things like that. And I started just doing things that made me happy. And it was the coolest thing. It was really neat things started to happen. Things that were kind of crappy and shitty actually all of a sudden just started fading away.
Mhm.
And like, no word of a lie, like I'll still have a drink or two, but honestly, it was like I woke up one morning and I didn't need to drink anymore.
Yeah.
But I just woke up one morning and just went, nah.
Right, because it's when the good fit, when it's easier to be happy than it is not to. That's when
Yeah.
the transition happens, right? For some people.
And you're right. Like when you were talking about too, is the energy, like when you make that shift into just doing happy things or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
that all of a sudden it shifts your energy. And then, like, I don't know if you believe in law of attraction,
Yeah.
but as your energy shifts, all of a sudden you're attracting the different things. And apparently you attracted 200 people that were trying to give you the same message.
Oh, yeah. My mind works so fast. Like I have I everything visualize, I visualize and I feel at the same time. So the minute I have a feeling, a million things are flashing through my head and I can't get the words quick enough. You just find I go really red and I'm like, I can't speak fast enough. It's like, and then I shouldn't say that. No, I've just seen something else. Nope, stop. So I had that then when you said that. But no, there's something you just said there. Yeah, so you were saying about the happiness. So for me, what made me realize this is when you think about kids, right? Babies, kids, they're born. If you think of like the flow of life or energy or whatever you want to call it, when it's flowing, when you're born, it's already flowing. There's nothing blocking it in the way because you don't have the conscious understanding that there is anything wrong with that. Okay, so maybe the first time you start crying because you're hungry and everyone's ignoring you, that might traumatize you a little bit, but you're consciously unaware of that. That's something that's going to sit there hidden, right? And until you're older, and you might recognize that because you don't have the cognitive behavior to remember that. However, as we get older and we start realizing that when you're told, no, you can't do that, or maybe someone's mean to you, you get these feelings and you go, oh, not going there again, not doing that again. So you create these blockages, right? And then you just carry them through life and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you think about it, one of the questions I've always asked people when they're like, I'm really, really stuck, like my life's really boring, or I just don't know what I want for fun anymore. I don't know what makes me happy. I always say, what's the one thing you did as a really young child that you just went and got lost and you lost time? Maybe you went and sat in the cupboard under the stairs and read books. I don't know. Maybe you just colored the walls. Maybe you ran in mud. I don't know what it was. But when you think, there's always something. You can always remember one thing. And when you think back to that, you light up. You see the person in front of you light up as they tell you about it. So they're accessing those feelings. So they're still there. You just have to find them, and I know for me, it's like when I've been through depression and anxiety and thought that, I was diagnosed with bipolar, but later found out it wasn't bipolar. I was just having PTSD. And so there's all these things that I've gone, so I've gone through a massive journey, and right now I'm probably still not completely 100% there, but you realize all of these things and it's like things just get in the way. That's what stops the flow. When you're in the flow, things just come to you. All right. If you've got emotions and things that are blocking you, it's like having a river with a giant log in it and you're just piling more and more logs. They're all the things that you don't want to break through. And so nothing's coming to you. The minute you clear that out, the river flows again and everything starts happening. And they keep passing you by. They keep coming to you. over and over again. And the key is not to hold on to them either, good or bad. It's like if they come in, then let them go. Like experience them, enjoy them, and let them go, because the chance that they'll come back again in the flow, you'll just keep attracting the same thing over and over again. But the minute you try and hold on to it, that's when the danger comes, because now you're not only blocking yourself, but you're restricting that person or that thing from moving too. And life is fluid. It just keeps flowing. So, you know, even when we're madly in love with someone and we go, oh, you know, I've got that person, I'm never going to let them go. Well, you know what happens in that kind of relationship, right? They feel trapped. They're going to run away. But the more freedom you give them, the more they respect you, and the more that they keep going around, and you get more of it. Right. So, you know, my biggest lesson right now is just let go of absolutely everything. Like, allow it to come in, acknowledge it, go, this is fucking awesome, I'm loving this, you know. But let it go, you know that it's going to pass. I used to get very, very down that, you know, why is it every time I'm really happy, then something crap happens the next day, and, you know, it's never going to last, and I got really cynical about it. But that's how life is. I mean, it is waves, but the idea is that you have to bob on top of the waves and go with it. You're not just like sinking to the bottom of the ocean and you can never come back again, which is where I got to, where I just couldn't get back up, couldn't breathe, you know. It was like, just what's the point? But it's the more you let go, the more comes in. It's just in, out, in, out. And that's how you have to be in everything, in your relationships and what happens. And, you know, if it doesn't work, again, same thing, you know, if something doesn't work or you have a catastrophe, it's temporary. It's always temporary. It's not going to stay there. I mean, you know, I had this argument with my daughter. She's 11 and my life's awful and everything's horrible and I hate it. And, you know, and I was like, really? I said, so yesterday when you were screaming and throwing stuff, having a tantrum, you know, and I said, that to me was like a level 12, right? And she's like, yeah, it was awful. And I said, right, are you doing that now? And she said, well, no, but I'm still not very happy. And I said, but it's not a 12, is it? And she's like, oh, no. I said, what is it? She's like, oh, 7. And I said, okay, then it's a 7. But now you know that that's what a 12 looks like. This is what a 7 looks like. They're not the same. And you're not still as mad as you were yesterday. Right, so it's not all horrible. It is undulating. And it does go up and it does go down. And every single thing you ever experience is momentary. So even depression, even mental illness, like whatever is going on, it is temporary. It's never the same all the time, but we have the perception that everything is dark and horrible and awful forever, all the time, for eternity. Right. And, you know, that's why we get stuck.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, you know what? Honestly, Kirstey, I want to continue this conversation. Mm-hmm. But I want to give you a little bit of time, because you said, actually, you told me earlier that you're actually writing a lot of this now.
Yeah.
You started writing. So I don't know if the end result is you're hoping, you know, to have like a published book, or just, you know, like a whole bunch of blogs or an ebook or whatever it turns out to be, doesn't matter. Even just through your writing alone, I will be curious to hear where it brings you in the next few months.
Yeah, you got better hopes than me in a few months.
I have faith in you.
I know, I got to get off the pot and get it done.
Well, I'm not saying you even have to have it done.
Yeah, no.
Just actually the process of doing it, I think, is going to be, you know, just because I recognize so much of your story in myself.
Yeah.
That it is so interesting when we do start writing things down.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see where this brings you. So we are going to have you back, just so you know ahead of time. Maybe you'll come to Calgary and we'll do it live.
Yay!
That would be perfect.
Yeah, that's an excuse. Then we can sit down and talk more.
Exactly. But we're pretty much out of time here. So actually, Kirstey, I want to thank you so much. And if somebody's looking for some professional photography or fashion photography, or really just wants to meet you because, holy cow, you are a bundle of personality, how can they reach you or find you on
yeah, I'm everywhere. So my website is www.supercorporatepeople.com, and also www.kirsteyjanecreative.com. So that's the fashion stuff. The corporate people is obviously the corporate one. But I'm on Facebook under those names, also on Instagram as well. So you can catch me.
Oh, awesome. Great. And LinkedIn. Well, thanks so much, Kirstey. And seriously, I really can't wait to catch up with you and see where you end up.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I'd also like to give a big shout out to actually our sponsor for today, which is A Chime for Healing, custom-made wind chimes. And they just keep getting better and better and posting new products that they're coming out with. So if you get a chance, actually check it out, because I mean, custom-made wind chimes to healing frequencies, how cool is that? And Valentine's Day is coming up, just saying. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Mind Blowing Energy in You. And we will catch up with you on Thursday. All right. Thanks again. Bye, Kirstey Jane.